Hello. That's a microphone. It's on now. Hooray. And now I'm going to go to Google Drive and pull up things. How's it going today? Yes, it is a marvel that we don't do about 50 times as many Mike jokes, to be honest. How's it going? Hello, the kids are asleep. All right, so I bring a Google Drive over here. I make it so that I can see it. Today, I'm going to continue my my attempts to develop the Mourning Shadow Eberron campaign idea into an actual campaign. So maybe the first thing we'll do that is slightly self-serving is that I'm going to post the adventure listing, and then maybe we'll take a look at it and talk about stuff from there. But in the meantime, I'm going to try to pull up a Word document because, yes, I did get a nice adventure template from GM's Lair, who is is that right? The DM Lair, who is which is the name of a D&D video creator and designer whose stuff I've been watching on YouTube. So the first thing that we'll do is we're going to look at a browser. Let's not do that. Let's do something else. Let's just do a window capture. No, not that one. Here we are. Okay, I was getting some weird artifacting, but I don't think that's happening anymore. So let's do this. So now we should be, on second thought, let's not go to Camelot. 'Tis a silly place. I did get the chance to see the national touring version of, nope, that's not what I want to see. Now you're seeing, you were seeing my Twitch interface, which it's not a problem that folks are seeing that. It's just, it's a little bit behind the curtains for folks, and it shows like who's following and things like that. So let's move away from that. And now, okay. This is not doing the thing that I want it to do. So instead, I'm going to make this big again. Try to do two things at once. It's not going great. Do. Okay, here we are. This is better. So look, this is an adventure listing on Start Playing Games. I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to move this over here. So now I can see things. Here we are. So Mourning Shadow, 5e Eberron, pulp action horror, LGBTQ plus friendly, because I am who I am. Now I'm going to pour soda. How's everybody doing today? We're going to do some more campaign design after I kind of walk through my campaign listing, because just in case people who are watching who might want to play in the game, if they're interested, I want to give you an easy way to go and find the game so that you can sign up for it if you like. But then once I've talked through the kind of this page, I'm going to go and pull up the adventure template, and I'm going to kind of copy over some of my notes, and we're going to build an actual adventure write-up, or at least some stuff that I will then use as prep if I get to start running this campaign. The first day listed is October 8th, which is this Saturday. That would be for the session 0, but we don't have enough signups yet to get the game started. So any week that there are not enough people, that'll push the session 0 back for a couple of weeks. I do note that I have the early bird discount set up for here. So if you're one of the first 2 people that signs up for this game, you will get the first session at 50% off, which is very nice. And that's basically so that the game can get rolling, because if there's only 2 people signed up, I'm not going to run the game, because I want a party that's large enough for all of the things that I want from an adventuring party. I would be happy to run an RPG for 2 people. I would just need to adjust the way that I do things. So that's that. Hello, Triffity Mats. And so again, in the chat, I may make a command here. I don't remember all the adcom language. It's like !adcom, something, something, something. But yeah, here's that listing for the game. And what we have is, so this is Eberron. Delve into a weird fantasy landscape, grapple with the aftermath of the last war, navigate the uneasy peace between nations. And then I talk about what this campaign is. It is role-playing and cinematic combat. It takes pulp adventure from Eberron plus action horror in the vein of films like Aliens or Pitch Black. You'll face terrifying odds, but through smart thinking and teamwork, you can win and push back the darkness. The advice that I've gotten from people who talk about like writing your ad copy for start playing games, focus on the emotional experience that the player, that you, the GM, is promising to the player, which I think makes sense and is probably advice to bring into the book publishing world. Like if you look at your book's ad copy and you don't get a sense of what the emotional experience is going to be from just looking at the first, let's say, 3 sentences or like first paragraph and a bit, then that may be worth revising. So something I may do in the next couple of months is go back and look at my listings for the Geekomancy books and see if I think that the emotional stuff is foregrounded sufficiently. Because I think for those books, the emotions, it's fun, it's adventure, it's wish fulfillment, it's geekiness as a source of magical power. It's that kind of deal. Plus some of the elements like inclusive casting and things like that, where it's, I want to identify places where something is distinct and the emotional experience that distinctiveness will help create for a member of the audience / a reader / a player, depending on which of these things that we're looking at, right? So then I talk about being an improv and collaboration focused GM. Anybody who has played with me or has seen me run games will know that that's true. So I straight up tell potential players, I want to know what excites you and your characters about the world and the story so I can tailor my plot to match and build on your interest. So this is me orienting the potential player to, here's what you're going to get if you do this thing where you sign up to pay a game master to run something for you. Because, you can always play a game yourself. If you can find somebody who's excited to GM, this is, much like you can go and find a game of pickup basketball, and you can buy a ticket to, minor league or major league basketball leagues. This is just extending that space, right? Because I've been doing this for a long time. And here we're talking about where the PCs start. So the PCs are a group tasked with guarding a major road leading to the Mournland / out of the Mournland, and fighting incursions by Mourning warped monsters. While focused on the Mournland, the game will expand in scope to include the nations surrounding the blighted landscape and their relationship to the Mournland and what it represents. So this is also me suggesting a little bit about where the game goes. This is not a like level 1 to level 20 dungeon crawl in and out and in and out. I could certainly do that. That's not what I'm going for in this game. If you were around watching the last video where I talked about this campaign, and which I think I called the Mourn Guard in the first stream because I hadn't come up with this title that I like better. When I was talking about this and the Planescape game that I like, but I think is going to take more work, because I'm trying to do like different ambitious things. I might also end up just running Blades of Sigil as a thing for a stream series. Shh, don't tell anyone. I mean, you can, if you're someone who does actual play streams and you think that sounds rad, talk to me. Like, I'm doing stuff with Speculate, but doesn't mean I can't do other stuff with other people. Yeah, no problem, Trivia Mats. Let me copy that again real quick. So that is now the most recent thing in the chat. For anybody that is interested in signing up for this game, I would say go ahead and do that now in the next few minutes. I'm just going to pull this out because I don't want people to see my other things. I'm going to probably edit that little bit in the VOD. Don't mind me. So yeah, I would say go and sign up for this if you're really excited about the idea of playing in this game. And then after the next couple of minutes, you will want to bow out and go check out other stuff that I've streamed, maybe some video game stuff or the 1D&D playtest packet stuff, because I will then get into stuff that will become spoilers for you if you're going to be a player in that game. But anybody who is here, either watching live and interested in the game, or if you're somehow finding it on YouTube and you can go to that link if the game is still running, who knows how long from now this is. I am excited to chat about having you in the game if that's something that you want to do. So that's this. I'm going to drop this thing. I'm going to switch this input and I'm going to add another window, and it's going to be this thing over here. So we're just going to talk about this for a little bit. So Mourning Shadow / the Mourngard and Eberron campaign. Sire becomes the Mournland. Maybe it's Kyre. It's probably Sire. Let's make this so that I can still be seen. And remove that. I will work on getting nicer windows for this. It's just the thing that I'm doing is a lot of prep using Google Sheets and stuff like that. So it's just not as fancy. We'll figure it out. So this is the for real spoiler warning for people who want to play in this game. If you stay, you will be spoiled. So I have the whole kind of main bit of the campaign. Adventure 1, a scouting party into the Mournland has gone missing. The PCs receive a message or sending or bird that they are the only ones close enough to do something and rescue or find the party. See you, Triffid. Thanks for coming by. So goal 1 of campaign 1 is bring the scouts back. And then bring back whatever information the scouts found / were going after. So this means that the characters will be delving into the cool weirdness of the Mournland from the beginning. My goal is session 1, hour 1, you are in the Mournland. So that will help set this aside from the really most traditional, most common mode of Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, which is a Forgotten Realms-ish epic fantasy with like woodlands and plains and mountains, and the dwarves live in mountains and the elves live in forests, and it's very Tolkien-ish. Tolkien is great. There are many good things about Tolkien. There are lots of people who've done amazing things drawing influence from Tolkien. I'm doing something different here. Eberron intentionally is not just whoop, whoop, more Tolkienite stuff. Chris Baker was going for something different. So one of the things I need to do is figure out critters. I believe there are Mournland creatures in here. Duskhag, Drin, Balastra, Dalkir. Oh, so these are like monsters and crap, or demons. So one of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to look at creatures and stuff from the Eberron book. I'm going to look at some other monster manual critters. I might go to Kobold Fight Club and look up some other monster types so that I can make my campaign. So this is the RPG template. I'm going to switch inputs here. We're going to add another window, and it's going to be my word. Yes. Okay, great. So here we are. Here's the word template. Title here. So this is going to be Eberron, Mourning, Shadow, Chapter 1. So I'm going to try, at least for this time, to use the DM Lair's format here and see how I like it. So as a quick overview, let's see what we've got. So list out the creatures, including monsters, that will be featured in this adventure. For handy reference, I like to include the page number of the core rulebook that comes from and the creature's challenge rating and experience points value. An example is given below. Commoner, Thug, Spy, Ifriti. This is great. I like this because I am often scrolling back to the top of the adventure, like write-ups and things that I have. And if I'm running games online, coming back to this at the top is a very good idea. I might even consider having all of their stat blocks in something. Something I've considered doing is looking at what Mike Shea, who writes as Sly Flourish, he uses Notion for prep and things like that. And the advantage of that is that you can just like open boxes and things, almost like it's a web page, and you can uncondense a thing, and then the stats are right there. That is still TBD. I have not necessarily decided what I want to do with that. Okay, I'm just checking a thing over there. So my PCs are going to be level 3 to start. So I'm going to need stuff that challenges them at that level. Game Master Notes. Here I make some basic notes for myself about the adventure. Below are 3 things I always like to keep track of. How many characters and of what level the adventure was designed for. So this is 3 to 6 PCs of level 3. How many short or long rests expected if your system contains combat mechanics like this? Yes. How many treasure rolls from what treasure hoard tables are contained in the adventure? I don't know that I'm going to do rolls. I might do rolls. It's one of the things that I will have to reorient myself in doing, because it has been some time since I ran D&D, and even when I did run D&D in like 3rd edition and earlier, I don't recall being an especially frequent user of treasure hoards, except probably in the earliest era when I was running like 2nd edition as somebody between the ages of like, I don't know, 12 and 15 or so. So the next bit is storyline. Get a brief overview of the situation the PCs will encounter. Describe the major premise, who the villain is, what they're up to, and what the stakes are. Those sort of things. I'm I'm just going to skip over this because that's all sample text. Again, all of this text so far, except the little bit that I added, is from the DM Lair. Let me link. I'm going to link the DM Lair's site and mention that I got this because I subscribed to the DM Lair's newsletter. And so you can go and get that too. I've also watched the DM Lair stuff on YouTube. I've found some good thoughts there. So shout out to the DM Lair for being very helpful. I'm grateful for that. If I turn this into a campaign write-up, I will, of course, switch the format because this is not my format. And I would not want to use somebody else's work so directly if I were buying or selling a thing, if I was selling a thing. So, locations. List the main locations the characters are likely to find themselves and give brief descriptions of them. And so this is like physical descriptions. An ancient temple built by dwarves centuries ago under the Blade Mountains, north of Mangorian. The main entrance is a tunnel in the side of the Blue Cliffs. There's another unknown entrance in the Blade Mountains. That entrance leads into the abandoned tunnels in the dungeon. So this is less flavor text and more just like, hey you, hey you, future me. This is what I mean by this thing, which is very handy. NPCs. List the main NPCs the characters might likely to encounter. Villains, descriptions. So faction, character, group, cool logo. Random encounters. Build out a handful of random encounters. You might have a random encounter take place if the characters are trying to use more long rests than are expected, are in the middle of raiding a compound and take a long rest, or even on short rests. So this is a little bit of like pacing incentivization, where you want to keep the group moving forward at an appropriate pace for the adventure, because short rests and long rests are the most frequent gates / mechanisms for the players to get stuff back for their characters. You get your hit points back on a long rest, you recover exhaustion on a long rest. Some classes will get special abilities or spells back on a short rest, like warlocks get stuff back on a short rest. Other classes get different things back on a short rest or a long rest. Inciting action. Describe the inciting action or adventure hook that introduces the adventure to the characters. So this is to the characters, not the hook in the story overall. So introduce the adventure to the characters and motivating them to go on it. Looking for work in Mangorian, blah, 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 and then meeting when the characters meet, and here's the information they get. So this is a lot of like orienting information with the inciting action. Adventure details. Build out the details of your adventure, include things like descriptions of dungeons or enemy fortifications. So this is where we're getting like box text. Descriptions of room, encounters the characters will come across, treasure they may find, traps and secret doors, all the cool stuff that makes up the meat of an adventure. This is fun because the most common mode of D&D, where we are doing combat, exploration, and roleplay as like 3 theoretically equal pillars and dungeon delving, some of the stance and focus on what the types of specifics are going to be is just really different between Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition, as it is most commonly played, and my more loosey-goosey collaborative storytelling style that I do in most of the games like Blades in the Dark or Court of Blades or something. These are games trying to do different things. What I want to do is I want to bring as much of what I think the cool storytelling techniques that I can from story games, specifically Forged in the Dark, Powered by the Apocalypse type games, into D&D without sidelining the things that a lot of people like about D&D. Because if people are going to pay me to run a D&D game, I want to give them a D&D game. I want to signal to them early on through my write-up and in like session 0 stuff, like, this is the type of D&D that I'm looking to give. What kind of D&D do you want? And can we make sure that we're all on this close enough to the same page that you're going to be happy with the D&D that you get? Because if somebody is paying for a game and they're not getting the game that they want, that's not great for anybody, because they're not going to have a great time, and they will be spending money, and I will be spending my time running something that is not what people are looking for. And that's unhappy for me because I am spending time on that, even if I'm getting paid. And from my perspective, that the customers here, because this is like, it's not as much consulting as it is like being hired to do like somebody's birthday party. It's like that type of entertainer work. I want repeat customers as much as I can because I want people to be happy with the service that I'm providing. So we gotta put some D&D in this D&D. We gotta have 10 foot wide halls and dungeons and or dragons. We gotta have some traps probably. We gotta have secret doors. We gotta have a loot. Love some loot. Loot is actually really fun, especially if we can like be thematic and tie into the story. So look, we got, here's a location. This is adjustments for things. This is probably more detail than I'm going to need. I am probably going to be doing milestone XP because tracking all this XP of stuff does not sound like a fun time to me, to be honest. I'm probably going to be focusing on other types of rewards for players. I was just watching a Matt Colville video that was, it's like incentivization and rewards, like making better rewards. And I quite liked it because he gets to talking about kind of meeting players where they are so that, okay, here's a player. The player talked about wanting like, oh, I should go and do X thing. Like I should go to this temple of my god. And that happened unprompted by Matt, who was GMing at the time. Here's the link to that video that you can pull up and then go back and look at later. I like a pretty good majority of Matt Colville's advice. As with anybody, there's bits that I disagree about, but in general, I think his stuff is a really good resource. So the idea there is that the rewards should incentivize the type of play that you're excited for people to be doing in the game that you're running. There was an old versions of D&D where you get XP for finding gold. Like literally, if you discovered gold, you'd get XP for every gold coin worth of treasure that you found. What does that incentivize? It incentivizes exploration. It incentivizes people looking for big chunks of treasure and gold. Okay. For this type of D&D, what do I want to incentivize? I want to incentivize role-playing. I want to incentivize smart decision-making. I want to incentivize collaborative storytelling. What are the ways that I can incentivize that? I can give out XP for it. That means tracking XP in a way that maybe I don't want to do. I can, go, okay, well, because you accomplished this cool thing, you're going to gain a level, like using milestone XP in that fashion. I can award loot. I can award like intangible benefits, like, because you did this thing, you're going to gain a special ability that is XYZ, and we're going to put it on your character sheet. And it's just a cool thing that you have now. I'm more likely to do those types of things that are a little bit more story oriented and figure out if we can all then have a good time. Yeah, like that's one of the things that I can do in intake. Kids Are Asleep says specific players may even have a preference of what rewards work for them best. There may be somebody in the game who really does like rolls on loot tables as a reward because it's like playing a gachapon game where you don't know what you're going to get, but you know the things that you need to do to get a chance at the stuff. And you go, oh, what's it going to be this time? And you get to be surprised, and that can be fun. So we've got more breakdowns. Here's 3 different sections. Resolution. Describe what happens once the characters have completed the adventure successfully or unsuccessfully. Do they receive a reward from an NPC? Does their favor with a faction increase? Stuff like that. DM Lair does have like his own personal faction system, which is cool. I would probably just use like a Blades in the Dark faction system because it's what I'm most familiar with, though maybe I would expand the scale. So like faction benefits here. So that is all of this kind of stuff. I think I'm going to start with storyline, and then I might jump to inciting incident, and I'm going to jump back and forth. So I'm not necessarily going to be going in order. Be prepared for that. Okay. This, I think I'm going to set this later on because I'm going to start from the storyline, unsurprisingly, as a novelist. So this is like a 3-paragraph breakdown. So I'm going to go back to my start playing games write-up. And I'm going to go to this. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to copy from my other write-up. So, a scouting party into the Mournland has gone missing. The PCs receive... so this is going to be more like inciting incident. They were tasked with retrieving an artifact. Let's see, a magical artifact that was an heirloom of House Cannith. House Cannith is the House of Makers. They were a big deal, like a major faction in Sire. This is the, like, House Cannith were, I think, the primary people behind creating Warforged as, like, a people. They're like, oh yeah, let's make magic robot people to fight the war for us. So this party was a scouting party, but they were specifically tasked by someone in country we're going to figure out. So let's figure out which country these people should be from. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a map of Eberron. I had taken some notes of what I thought I wanted to do. So on the continent of Corvair, because the Mournland is in Corvair, we have Thrain, Zilargo, and Breland. So I'm going to look up Thrain, Zilargo, and Breland, and I'm going to decide which of these countries this group should be acting on behalf of. So we're going to look at, this is Eberron rising from the last war. I'm going to look at Breland. Breland is one of the most powerful nations, large population, abundant resources. Brelish are known for pragmatism and independence. Breland is the nation that has Sharn. As you develop a Brelish character or NPC, consider the following qualities. Slightly shady. Many Brelish have a loose relationship with the law. Innovative, independent. Find your own paths in the world. Don't follow established traditions. Practical. Okay. So, we already have Shire. Demon Wastes. I don't want to do Demon Wastes. Karnath. Lazar. Maror. Talenta. Thrain. Thrain. Their hallmarks are divine magic, fine crafts, fruit, livestock, the silver flame, textiles, wood. So this nation is much more consistently religious. And then I suppose we could be in Dargoon. Dargoon, hallmarks, dungeons, goblin kind of subspecies, mercenaries, ruins, House Danaith. Dargoon is a frontier, quote-unquote, frontier nation. Okay, I think Breland makes sense here. So, this is Brelish. Yeah. So here's the thing. The PCs are only going to know this group as a scouting party. So I think House Cannith has like a specific place where they have their court in exile. But maybe that's just the King of Sire. Lots of lore. Where are you? Okay, doesn't matter. So, they made it to the ruins of, let's say, the Silver Keep, a House Cannith fort / laboratory, but lost most of their members fighting a large Mourning created monstrosity. I believe monstrosity is like a technical term in D&D. I don't care about that. I'll figure that stuff out later. You know when it matters is when somebody has an ability that cares whether something is a monstrosity. That's when it matters. They are, I think let's say 2 survivors are holed up in a panic room in the laboratory. So these scouts can't get out, and I don't think they've gotten the thing. And they still don't have the... I think this is going to be like this is going to be some artifact that is useful in making war stuff, like war tech, because that supports my theme. So this is going to be the Ice Forge, let's see, Ice Forge. We're thinking like magic, steampunky technology. And I'm thinking this is for like making ice monsters. Or maybe it's like making ice flavored automata. Let's see, tool focus engine for creating ice themed automata. So the artificer class is introduced in this Eberron book. And so artificers are a thing in this setting. And so we're going to have the Ice Forge. Let's see, Ice Forge is several hundred pounds. Would need a Tensor's floating disc, or a big bag of holding, or a cart to easily move around. So one of the things that they have to deal with is, can we even bring this thing back? Because their orders are to find out what happened to the scouting party and then to bring back whatever it is that they were supposed to bring back. So now this becomes their problem. Okay. Nope. I don't want a paragraph thing there. Fuck off. Okay. I don't know why this does these things. This is why Word, one of the number of ways why Word is bad sometimes, because it just adds formatting, or it's like, oh, actually this formatting was here all along. Teehee. And now things get more annoying. Oh yeah, because look at this. We've got like the locations thing is all fracked up. Okay. Okay, so I guess we've like these lines got messed up along somewhere. So I'm going to move this down to inciting action. Nope. Okay. We come back here. Along the way to the Silver Keep, they will run into Mournlings. And I think Mourning is just going to be my group descriptor for creatures warped by the Mourning. They're going to run into living spells, aftermath of the last war, Mourning, and traversal challenges, some kind of pit or steep something or other. Because if D&D is exploration, combat, and roleplay, I want to have all three of those elements in this first adventure if I can make that so. I'm getting messages. I need to be able to figure out how to turn off notifications from apps. I tried to update an app for a game, and it then went and deleted a bunch of other apps. And so as I bring those apps back onto my phone, all of the settings that I had for them, including like don't give me notifications, gone. It's a bit annoying. Storyline. Let's see. What do the scouts reveal about the monstrosity, about their mission, about do the PCs bring back the Ice Forge? So our locations here are going to be, so there's going to be the blasted plains. This is just like general Mournland stuff. You can be in blue like that. No, that's, what are you? Okay, it's just like a different blue. Okay, sure. The fields like stained glass turned to gravel. So it's going to like catch light in really weird ways. Generates mirages, illusions, magical after images, aural and visual phenomena, replaying clips of battles from the last war. So we're going to have some spooky stuff. We're going to, there's going to be like tiny little cutscenes as moments from the past in the last war are replayed in sight of the player characters. So this is going to be a way to deliver a little bit of exposition about like what the last war was in practice, and conveying some of this idea that the violence and the horrors that were done in this place were also a violence on the land or against the land, or that violence kind of seeped into the land and its memory. So we're going to have the Blasted Plains. We're going to have the Silver Keep. Is that what I called it? Names are hard. Yes. I might want to have one more location, but maybe not. I think the Blasted Plains are going to have... Can I just do this? No, that's background. Didn't think it was going to be that easy. No color. Silver Keep. Let's give you this blue. I like that better. In fact, I even think that that's the blue that the template uses. Let's see. So this is a 2-story fortified laboratory and barracks for House Cannith. And so this is going to, since this is House Cannith stuff, we're going to have transmogrified machines, automata, metal and flesh, hybrid mournlings, and stuff like that. Some contains the Ice Forge and some other dangerous magical weapons tools. So some of the loot that I can give them is just like, oh yeah, this is leftover House Cannith stuff that nobody got out. Like, oh yeah, here's a bomb-ass wand, or here's a magic sword with some flavor. Because you know what's cooler than a +1 sword? A +1 sword that will continue to scale with you as you level up and has some other interesting qualities. And if this is House Cannith stuff, then it's like, oh, okay, does this sword give you bonuses on like crafting checks? Or does it, does it kind of connect with your impulses to push boundaries and like go for discoveries? Like, oh, okay, well, this sword is going to give you a bonus to your investigation check to kind of draw conclusions or to kind of further scientific advancement or something. Like, oh, okay, well, if this is a +1 sword, it's probably going to go to a fighter or like a warrior type. What's something that has some of the theme of House Cannith that I can give that? Like, oh, okay, maybe this is like loot. Maybe this is loot. I'm just putting down a loot section. Weapons, tools with House Cannith flavoring, mending, force damage, something especially cool for artificer, maker type characters. Now I would adjust this. If I'm running this game and somebody plays an artificer, cool. They're going to get something really fun in this adventure early on in this campaign, and then I'm going to find ways to give cool things to other characters pretty quickly moving forward. But if nobody's playing an artificer, I would say that I'm most likely to adjust some of the stuff so that there is something that is cool and individualized for these other characters. Whether that is something cool for everybody or something for everybody and something specific and cool for one of the characters, and then I'll rotate through who gets something that's specific over time. Okay. Got my things. Okay. So I've added my loot section. I'm going to go back up here. Yeah, so this is more and different type of prep than I would do for like a Forged in the Dark game, because I just have to mechanize so many more things that I would. I will add more faction stuff, but maybe not so much for this adventure, because this is very much a go to a place, find out what happened, bring back the people and or their stuff kind of adventure. Okay. So again, these bars are all fucked up. So, I mean, I'm actually fine with leaving this in bold, because questions are fun. Because I can leave this stuff uncertain. Do the PCs bring back the Iceforge is a big question. I think their rewards will be greater if they do, but then, or I'm hoping that they bring back the Iceforge, because I would like them to be directly culpable in the damage caused by the stuff that people are going to use the Iceforge to make. Because the Iceforge is one of a number of things that was churning out really scary war magic stuff that then led to the circumstances that created the Mournland. And if the characters in just doing their job, normal adventurer shit, get and bring back this machine that will generate incredible horribleness, then that it ties them more immediately and directly into the moral landscape of this adventure. Or of the campaign, really. Okay. So I've got those questions. I think this is probably enough. Major premise, who the villain is. I mean, there sort of isn't a villain. I guess this Mourning thing is going to be the villain. I should detail this big critter. So this is going to be a Warforged with that's been merged with, I don't know, something big and cool. Let's page through the monster manual, and we're going to just have this. I'm already thinking about having a custom monster, which is maybe not the smartest idea. Flesh Golem, challenge rating 5. How terrible of an idea is that? Kobold. So if I have 4 characters and they are level 3, then a deadly encounter is 8. Is that? No. Clear. What do I want? I want to get a Flesh Golem. Okay, so that's a deadly encounter. I mean, I don't hate this, because I can take the Flesh Golem stats and then I can modify it. So a Flesh Golem, 93 hit points, speed 30 feet, Berserk. When the Golem starts a turn with 40 hit points or fewer, it can go Berserk, can attack a creature, aversion to fire. If the Golem takes fire damage, it has a disadvantage on attack rolls. Immune to something. It takes no damage from lightning. I might reverse this. So aversion to lightning and fire absorption, maybe. Magic resistance. The Golem's attacks are magical. It hits for a lot. So that's a possibility. I'm going to look in the Eberron book at what my Warforged stats are. So a Warforged soldier is a CR1. I believe I know there's a Warforged Colossus, which is just way too big. Warforged Titan is CR8, which is worse. So actually, what I want is something that is between the Warforged Soldier and the Warforged Titan. But let me look at some of these other creatures. We've got Valinar Steed. We've got an Undying Undying Soldier. That's CR2. Radiant Idol. No, none of this. CR. Like a CR4 would probably be good, or a CR3 with a couple of minions, just because a single creature is going to be at a big disadvantage in action economy. That is, that they get to take fewer actions than a party of 3 or 4 characters. I do think I want to have a Living Burning Hands in this adventure, one of the living spells. I've got Inspired. I've got a Karnath Undead Soldier, CR3, Pack Tactics, Undead Fortitude. No, that's not really what I'm looking for. Homunculi. That's probably what we're talking about. CR1/8. So I can have a cluster of homunculi. Let's see. Are you clear encounter? Huh? Are you in here? Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Okay, homunculi. Great. So if I'd have to add a lot of homunculi for a group of 3rd level characters. So one thing that I can do is well, Iron Defenders are CR1. So let's do this. Iron Defenders are not in Goblin Fight Club, in Kobold Fight Club, but they are CR1. Interesting. Homunculus. Okay. Monster Manual, CRD. Okay. No, so this is just subtypes of homunculi. Let's add the source for the Kobold Fight Club because this is relevant. Yep. So here we are. I'm just going to put this here. So see how I look at this. I got homunculus. It's SRD and the Monster Manual, but Iron Defender is not. Iron Golem, yeah, these are Hobgoblin, Iron Shadow, Volo's Guide to Monsters. Yeah, so none of that is in here. But if I find something that is CR1, filter, challenge rating, okay, so I'm looking for something that's just straight up CR1. So how many CR1s? So 3 Iron Defenders is a hard encounter. So we're going to go Living Burning Hands, Iron Defender, Flesh Golem, modified. So this the modified Flesh Golem that I'm going to do as the boss fight is going to be less beefy because I want it to come out to about CR4. And the nice thing about GMing with a Flesh to Stone spell, what? Yeah, right. with custom creatures is players don't know what this is. If I've homebrewed it, they don't know how many hit points it's going to have. So I can adjust this creature to make it more interesting, where it's like, okay, I'm going to use the action-oriented monster design technique from MCDM, Matt Colville, so that the monstrosity has something specific that it does every turn. So like, oh, first turn it does something to like get to somebody or grab somebody. A second turn it's going to like reorient. It's going to like, maybe the first one it does an opening attack, and the second one it does some kind of maneuvering thing. The third turn it tries to like go for the kill on somebody. That type of design gives a shape to the fight in a way that's really useful. So what if I'm going to go back? So we're going to add 1, 2, 3. So CR4 is deadly. CR5 is extra deadly. So if I go down to 3 and then I add, so 3.25 is hard, 3.5 is hard, hard feels deadly, okay. So I was checking like, oh, how far into this do we get kind of deadliness? Okay, great. So I'm gonna move that away. Nope, that's not what I wanted to do anyway, at all. We're just gonna remove this. And we're gonna go back here to my write-up. Locations. Encounters. Let's see. Magical flashbacks. Living. Flaming hands. Traversal. Challenges. Skill challenge? I like skill challenges from 4th edition. There's a number of people have talked about ways to bring them into 5th edition, and I'm probably just going to kind of smoosh together several options. So we're going to have 3x Iron Defenders as a combat encounter. So I'm going to do encounters. We're going to have weird magical trap sentry, and then we're going to have monstrosity. Modified flesh golem. Action oriented. Shoot for CR4. The other thing I might do is I could go and find a CR4 creature and use that as a base instead. Looks like no. And of course, the term golem is specific to Jewish folklore, and so automata is actually just a better term overall for these kinds of situations. A Grick. Gotta love a Grick. So something that the Monster Manual does not do is it does not provide an index by challenge rating number. For that, I have to go back to Kobold Fight Club. So if I wanted to go CR3 to CR4, then I can pull up things. And Bugbear Chief, Cave Fisher, Chul, Coatl, Deathlock White. That's not a terrible option. Bearded Devil, Barghest, Banshee, Ankylosaurus. That's very funny. Gerst, Flame Skull, Elephant. Elephant is not terrible, but Elephant's not going to have like weird monster options as much. I guess the Yankee Warrior is not what I'm looking for. Iron Cobra, Hook Horror. That's an option. Manticore. Manticore is a pretty good suggestion because manticores are they are chimeric. All right. Mimic. Good old Mimic. What's the CR on a Mimic? CR2. The part of me that loves Dark Souls is very tempted by the idea of putting in a Mimic. Manticore. Okay, CR3, large monstrosity. They're kind of boring. They just have cool different attacks. Tail spike regrowth. You can shoot tail spikes. No, that's not very interesting. I mean, the art is cool, but mechanically, I don't think they're very interesting. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my monster packets from Flea Mortals, which is an MCDM product, to see if they have cool, weird stuff that's like CR3 or 4 that I could maybe steal as the mechanics for this. So I've got a hard encounter. The Mimic is like CR2, I think, so that's not as bad. And then some kind of weird magic trap or sentry. I'm guessing that they're going to take a short rest in here, so I'm going to go back up here to, let's say, 1 to 2 short rest, maybe 1 long rest. Maybe it makes sense that it's a multi-day walk, and so therefore they would get a long rest. Now, the other thing that I can do is just, threaten the restfulness. They set watches because they're good adventurers, and then I send something nasty at them in the middle of the night. Maybe that's where a living burning hands comes around. The thing about the living burning hands is that it's fire, so it's going to generate light, so it's going to be easy for them to see coming, even if I use the mist. So that's something that I should do. Once the group emerges from the mist at the border of the Mourning, they come to fields like stained glass. So the thing about this is that these fields are going to be very bright, right? Part of what makes the mist hard to navigate is that reflected light. Refracted? I don't remember. Refracted, reflected. So encounters, survival, nature check to navigate the mist. Set difficulty of initial glass or blasted plains encounter based on how that goes. How well that goes. 5 minus would be living flaming hands. 5 to 10 would be 1 Mourning, Iron Defender, or CR1 thing, question mark. Something, I would say, like, we want these to be right? They want easy, moderate, hard encounters. So maybe the living flaming hands isn't the lowest level. So CR3, CR2, 11 to 15, CR1 16 plus no encounter. And this is kind of representing like how lost do they get getting into the Mournland? Are they kind of on track, or are they going to get surprised by something? Let's actually do under 5. 5 minus doesn't work as well because I'm then using a dash. I have an N dash. I have an M dash over here because M dashes are love. I have a modular keyboard. I really should set something on my keyboard that just gives me an M dash. I have this power because I think, are you an M dash? No. Okay, yeah, I got rid of that. I just should add an M dash here because it will. Now the downside is that it could be too much. It could be an unacceptable amount of power. I could, become a supervillain because of easy access to M dashes. That's a risk we may just have to take. So magical flashbacks. This is not so much an encounter to overcome as just an encounter they will experience. So let's say mimic, and then blah, and then little mournlings. Actually, we'll do. So the little mournlings are going to be in flavor text. So I want something, I'll need something in here that's like CR 1/2 that I can throw at them in larger numbers. For this, I might go and try to find minions from one of the Flea Mortals packets. So Living Burning Hands. All right, let's go ahead and fill in this stuff for that. I'm trying to mix the stuff that I find not as interesting mixed in with the stuff that is more my deal because it's all part of the game. So Living Burning Hands is a CR1 200 XP. CR1 200 XP, and this is ERRFTLW. And so that's Eberron Rising from the Last War, page 298. Iron Defenders are also from Eberron. They are under Homunculus. This is page 293. So one thing I like about this is that I'm using 2 monsters specifically out of this Eberron book. This is an Eberron campaign. I want it to feel like it's the cool stuff that's specific to Eberron, right? Challenge 1, 200 XP. Okay. Is that really right? I thought that so I'm misremembering the CR on that. Okay, so Living Burning Hands is CR1. So that's fine. Flesh column modified. And we're going to go back to the monster manual for this. So for that, we're going to go and use their terminologies. CR5, 1800 XP. XP, and this is Monster Manual, page 169. And again, this may end up just getting completely replaced by something else. I was paging through the book and found something that seemed like it might be appropriate, given that it is specifically a thrown together construct of stuff. And let's go to Mimic. You're in the main book, right? Quadrones. Mimic. 220. You are CR2 450 XP. XP. And you're on Monster Manual, page 220. Little Mournlings. I'll figure something else out. So, ding ding. This is a little high. I might want to find something. Well, groups is good because groups will throwing groups at them is better for action economy balance. On the way. So if they take, they get into the Mournlands, I throw some, maybe they don't roll great on the survival check. They do a fight, they do a short rest, they keep walking for that day, they do a long rest. The next day I throw, a medium encounter, a hard encounter, and a deadly encounter at them, and we see how it goes. The advice that I've gotten and that I think makes sense is to throw nasty stuff at the group, like adjust high, because it's easier to back that off and it creates a sense of real threat and immediacy. I think it makes sense for a game that's going to be a lot in the morning that going into the Mournland is a very scary thing, and there's a reason why player characters are mostly the ones that do it. So I want to sell the Mournlands as a credible threat and make it, it's like, oh yeah, it makes sense that that we have level 3 border guards, that there are player characters at level 3 whose job is keep this bad stuff from getting into the countryside. So that's that. I want to figure out a traversal challenge. Treasure rolls. I don't know about this. I may just replace this with something else. And I'll just add to this question thing as I go, honestly. Traversal challenge. Okay, so I like skill challenges. It's a fun way to center skills rather than combat as the game. I think skill challenges are a good tool for exploration / traversal scenes because they give you some shape and some stakes. I think what we have is a warped weird gravity crevasse floating platforms with environmental hazards popping in and out of, quote, non-existence. Spelling while typing while streaming is hard. I assert this. So what I want to do is I'm going to pull up a list of 5e skills. And I'm going to say which skills I think are going to have more or less effect here, right? So the Mourn warped approach to the Silver Keep. Skill challenge, not question mark. As the land, oh, there's Meg, she got home. Land rises toward the house Cannith holding. logic and stability give way to pure chaos. So this is part of why this keep has not been raided in the way that it has, is that the whole world around it is just like it's messed up. So the scout group had to get through this skill challenge, and now the player characters have to do this as well. So easy DCs. Well, let's see. Standard DCs 10. So on a DC 10, I think survival, nature, difficult DCs. This is 15. Hard DCs 20. So basically I want to divide up the skills by which what level of difficulty I think they will hit in order to be able to contribute to the skill challenge. 6 successes before 3 failures. Now I might just change this to for every failure X. And I think for each failure X penalty, add to encounter outside the gates of the Silver Keep, damage from emergent phenomena, exhaustion, so the penalties are going to be something along those lines. So I think standard DCs are going to be athletics, acrobatics, stealth. I don't know that stealth. I don't think stealth applies. I don't think. I think Arcana does apply. Here's my M dash again. So I think it's going to be religion. Intimidation, performance, persuasion. Like, some of these skills are just not going to apply, because this is more physical and mental and not really social. So I'm going to have to beef up the social aspect when we get to the scouts themselves or some other situation. Maybe there's a random encounter of like bandits. Where would that be? Encounters. Let's see, grave robbers. Maybe that's social, potentially combat, encounter. You know, people who've come into the Mournlands to just rob from the dead. Are these characters, you know, the scouting party, a little bit the same thing? Maybe they're doing this on behalf of House Cannith. So they're like great, like rob my own grave kind of a thing, which is different. So animal handling, I don't know about. I don't know that animal handling can apply at all. So athletics, acrobatics. I'm going to allow sleight of hand at a DC 20 if they can explain it. Insight, I think, is going to be appropriate because, I think with insight or investigation, you can figure out like what's going to happen. And insight might be to get insight into the intent of maybe some, let's do insight at 20. Because investigation and perception are just so much more appropriate here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and there are more skills. History is fine here because you can have heard of this, right? History, nature, religion, medicine. I don't know that medicine applies. So 1, 4, 9, 14. There are 18 skills in D&D. That's too many skills. Have fewer skills, D&D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. What's the one I'm missing? Deception. Yeah, that part doesn't apply. So the easy things you can do be survival and nature. Like, oh, okay, what's going to be the way to get around here? Athletics, acrobatics, arcana, investigation, perception, history, different ways of getting information and or traversing this area. Harder, you might get some information from religion, sleight of hand, or insight. And these, I think, just won't apply unless someone can give me a really good idea of how it helps you traverse, do this kind of traversal. I would think that heavy armor may give disadvantage on athletics, acrobatics, depending on circumstance. Like, you're carrying a bunch of heavy stuff. It should be harder to do this, even if you're not over encumbered. But that's a question mark. So I'm just going to bold this. 6 successes is, so if there are 3 player characters, then that's 2 each. If there are 4 player characters, that's 1 way around the table plus 2 more people. That's probably still fine. I might, depending on the situation, I might in play bump it up to 8 successes if I want it to be a bigger challenge. That also kind of depends on what types of penalties I'm applying on failure. For level 3 characters, a wizard is going to have 6, 10, 14 hit points plus 3x constitution bonus. Anybody who is in the D8 health, the D8 hit die is going to have 8 plus 10. They're going to have 18 plus 3x constitution hit points. Fighter types are going to have 22 plus 3x hit points. And barbarians are going to have, 7, 14, 26 plus 3x constitution hit points. So doing like 1d10, 10 damage is not bad. I would say adding to encounter outside the gates of the Silver Keep is going to be if I feel like I need another encounter. I don't know that I do because there's going to be encounters on the inside. Something I'm going to want to do here is come up with some more descriptions of the interior of the Silver Keep, like either finding a map to put into Roll20 to have them like explore around and then come up with some write-ups for a few rooms. You know, here's where you fight the Iron Defenders. Here's where the Mimic is. Here's where there's some kind of weird magical trap or puzzle sentry. I'm imagining like a Eberron fantasy version of that eyeball drone, the eyeball droid sentry in Return Return of the Jedi that speaks in what I believe is supposed to be Huddies to C-3PO when they're trying to go and see Jabba. Like what's the kind of Eberron appropriate version of that? Because this is House Cannith. It's going to be kind of more steampunky in vibe, but magic steampunky. So that's that. NPCs. So we're going to have Scout 1, Scout 2, Bandits, Boss, Handler, like the group's supervisor. I want to know who that character is so that I can characterize them in terms of like information that they're getting. So this is going to be an artificer. Scout 2 is going to be a ranger. Lies in the Mournland. Like absolutely there would be rangers who would make a name for themselves by specializing in the Mournland, right? So if this ranger is alive at the end of the fight, like here's a question to ask. Do they help fight the boss? Do they? They're probably in bad shape. I would imagine that they would need to be convinced to do this. Flesh, biological, House Cannith, experiments. So we've got that. I don't want them to be in the room with the Ice Forge because then the artificer could make stuff and they could get out on their own. So I think the encounters in the keep, in the room with the Ice Forge. Oh, and this, the biological part of this creature was made with the Ice Forge. Maybe the Warforged was too. This is a little like, oh, okay, I'm kind of foreshadowing this is what the Ice Forge can do. That makes sense here, right? Because lulls and because House Cannith says F you, right? They feel like the kind of people that would have mimics or would make mimics. Just checking some notes here. That's not anything for me. Okay. Cool. So we're coming up on 2 hours, or we're at 1:40. I haven't taken a break. I will probably wrap up at about 2 hours because Meg is home and I like spending time with Meg, which would probably be a surprise to absolutely no one. So a friend sent me a different CR calculation thing, which I'm curious to see how different any of this is. So I'm going to add this source and we're going to go investigate because it'll be fun. All right, so this is Goblin Fight Club, which is different than Kobold Fight Club. Understandably, they're named in a somewhat similar fashion because they're trying to do the same thing. And let's hide that real quick. So, sources, I want Eberron. I mean, what else do I need here? Monster Manual, Mourning Canaans. Yeah, that's fine. So I'm looking for, no, not tiny. Okay, so if I add a flesh golem, this is deadly. Yep, that makes sense. Can I do Iron Defender? Nope, Iron Defenders are still not listed. Iron, yeah, that's not that. Mimic. All right, how many mimics? One mimic. Oh, that's because I want level 3 and 4. Yes. Add group. Oh, okay, no, I don't need 2 groups. So 1 mimic is an easy encounter. Cancel. How many mimics do I need? 2 mimics? 2 mimics becomes hard. Okay. That's fine. Let's do... That is supposed to be deadly. Okay, great. And living spell? No, it's not listed. Burning. Yeah, living burning hands is not in here either. Okay, well, I will come back to that. I'm not super sure what the major differences of this are, but they would maybe are things that would come into clarity through further use. So we've got this. Bandits. Are there just here's what I should do for bandits is MCDM packet to humans. So humans as a group were a category that are in that most recent pack that I probably have here somewhere. Actually, I do. I can do this. I'm just going to go over here, Flea Mortals, packet 2, critters. Okay, and then I'm going to add a source. Look at all this. Look at me doing live production. Like this. Okay. So, humans, human apprentice mage, CR6, CR2, 2 human brawlers is CR4, which is pretty rough. So maybe we're going to have 1 brawler and then these are all pretty higher level. Human guard, yeah, okay. 1 brawler, 4 guards. Brawler is CR2, 4 guards, and then 1 merchant who... Actually, because these are bandits, I probably don't even need a merchant. Maybe the brawler is just the leader. Knave, a human knave. Knave. 1/8 minion. So this will be actually 5 guards. This lets me introduce minions, which is great. I think minions are a good idea for this type of like cinematic action adventure type of game. So the fun thing about the MCDM humans is that they all have exploit weakness. When the guard makes or joins an attack that is made with advantage, the attack deals an extra 1 damage per guard that joined or made the attack. And that also applies to the human brute, the human brawler, because... Oh, no, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it's just the minions and some of the other ones. So you've got a grab, a throw. I don't know about using grappling rules, Matt. Well, who knows? It wasn't necessarily Matt Colville himself who created that, but I have anyway, grappling rules in D&D. It's a whole ongoing thing. Shield bash, Morning Star. That's pretty good. When they make an attack, exploit opening. Okay. Let's do maybe human knave CR3 instead, question mark. I think the knave is going to be too much because that's CR3 plus the set of minions. But maybe that's maybe make it really hard so that they think they will want to do social instead. For that, I would need to like be able to communicate how dangerous this set of enemies looked, but that's something I can think about. The knave is more interesting to me. Bonus action, stay down. The knave kicks one prone creature within 5 feet. The target must succeed on a DC 14 con save, or their speed is reduced by 0 until the end of their next turn. And the shield bash will knock a character prone. Mourning Star does extra stuff if they're prone. So this is like, this knave is, they know what they're up to. So we've got guard, raider, maybe some of those. Human scoundrel is an ambusher. Human trick shot. This is like ranged attacking stuff, interesting. And that's like a boss dude. That's a retainer. Okay, that's interesting. I may come back to that. We'll figure it out. So I'll want to detail these people a little bit more. You know, they'll get names and things. These are not out here anymore. So random encounters. So this is going to be treasure, hunter group, 2 living flaming hands, 2 iron defenders, so these are like arrayed from easy to deadly, which I think is a smart way of doing things. So maybe the treasure hunter group is going to be toward the more deadly end. Easy. So we've got, I want something that's CR2. So max CR2. Adult Krithik, great. Let's get rid of you. So 2 of you is hard. 1 of you is easy. Okay. So maybe we drop this part. Mournlings, I'm going to have to figure out what to use for Mournlings. And then inciting action. Yeah, I don't need all that stuff. Great. And then this is, okay, there's actually more stuff here. I've been putting the other stuff up there, like all this extra stuff, but that's fine. I don't have to follow the template super explicitly. Okay, so yeah, that's some prep. This is not everything. Even if I got, 3 or 4 more players for this campaign by Saturday and we did the session 0, I'm still not running this until next Saturday, and it may in fact take a couple of weeks for this game to fill up. So I think that's going to be enough for now. I would say that this is like half done, maybe a little bit less than half done because I have to modify some creatures and find like a map of the keep to use and make sure that I have that stuff in Roll20, which is what I'm going to be using to run this game. But I think that is a good amount of stuff for today. I'm going to throw that campaign. Manage adventures. Actually, I'm going to throw a different game in chat here. So I'm also trying to get a Blades in the Dark campaign up and running. So you can play Blades in the Dark with me and have me run a game for you, very much tailored and customized to the stuff that you want, over at this link here. And I'm going to remind folks that if you like my thoughts about games here, and you like how often I misspell things when I'm trying to stream and type. So yeah, I co-host a actual play show. We are playing Girl by Moonlight by Andrew Gillis in a game called Fractal Spire. You can watch the session 0+8 actual play sessions that we've done of that. And I am the dancing master, aka GM, for Valorward, which is a Court of Blades campaign. Court of Blades being a game by a couple of Drakes, aka Sean and Navi Drake. And they just finished up a Kickstarter campaign for their game Dead Belt, which is a very different kind of thing, but congrats to them for the successful funding on that. And you can find all the other cool stuff that we do at Speculate at patreon.com/speculate. I want to say thank you to Gun Lauger for following the channel. Looks like sometime yesterday. I hope to see you around some other time. If you've been lurking, thank you and welcome. Thanks for hanging out. The kids are asleep and chatting. Thank you, Triffity Mats, for swinging by earlier today. And thanks to everybody who was lurking. And I will see you again this Friday for a stream of Winter Morp Tactics Club, which I hope we will then finish. And then we'll do some more stuff next week. I think next Wednesday, Beneath Oresa, which I took a look at back a few months ago for a Steam Next Fest, which is the cool, gritty, almost like cel-shaded art fantasy roguelike deck builder. I think that comes out next Wednesday, so that's probably what I'll be doing next Wednesday. And then depending on how the various games thing are doing, I might do a GM prep thing on Friday of next week. So that's that. The next session of Valorward is going to be October 21st, and the next session of Fractal Spire looks like it's going to be on Sunday, the 16th of October. And both of those are over at twitch.tv/Arvin Elleron, which is my friend Greg's channel. Greg, who is one of the co-hosts of Speculate, and has been very generous in sharing his platform with the project, as well as with Bag of Giving, the charity actual play series that I do with Brandon Crilly, which will be returning for a couple of cool things toward the end of the year. And that is going to be that. And now I vanish once I remember which window is which. Okay, now I'm going. Bye.